By any chance, are you familiar with a game called Happy Wheels?
You're a real blockhead.
Whoa! Holy shit!
Okay. Whoa!
His butt has become sentient. Oh, look out, old man!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
We never do, Dad. Shut up, son.
You know, that gory vehicle game every YouTuber played in 2012? It was a sandbox game, so successful, even some user-created levels have been played by tens of millions of people. And for a time, it was put next to Roblox, Minecraft, and Gmod in terms of viewership and creativity. Today, I want to go through the story of Happy Wheels, to figure out how it became one of the most well-known sandbox games ever created. The year was 2002. For the longest time, Jim Bonacci had an interest in two things: art and coding. He had a number of websites in the past, and was able to make some pretty good looking art, in both physical mediums and MS Paint. One day, he decided to try his hand at Adobe Flash animation. He released his first ever video on July 19th of that year, the very same day he joined Newgrounds, a site known for being the starting point for many online careers in the 2000s. Newgrounds was much like old school YouTube, in the sense that everyday people could put their creativity into action and potentially grow a following. The animation depicted a man walking around, following a bunny, then finding a unicorn, going for a ride, and discovering a pot of gold. While it was definitely basic and a bit crude, with the video not even supporting sound, the experience was fun enough for him to make another, released the next year. The follow-up, called Where's My Bike? At this point he started to get more comfortable with animating in Flash, and he had the idea to put his passion for art and coding together by working on his own video game. Learning ActionScript, he'd release his first Flash game, Divine Intervention, in November. The first thing you'll notice when playing the game, besides its classic Newgrounds charm, is how bloody and violent it can be. This is something that would only continue later on. Another thing is a couple of character designs that would be reused for Happy Wheels. A child wearing shorts, an orange shirt, and bike helmet? That sounds awfully similar to the shorts wearing orange shirted kid that sits on irresponsible dad's bike. And this old man is literally the same guy. Upon release, the game would see a good amount of attention, garnering 2.6 million views in its first year of being available. And with his small taste of success, Jim was inspired to put more time and effort into developing his next project. In late 2005, he registered the domain TotalJerkface.com, the eventual home of Happy Wheels 4 years later. But in the meantime, he was still throwing around some ideas. He knew he had gotten better in terms of both visuals and game design. And with the success of his last game, he knew the follow-up would at least get some amount of traction. But he needed a good idea for a more in-depth experience. One idea thrown around was a fighting game in a similar style to beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage, known as Game Test 12. But he ended up getting a more ambitious idea. He saw other Newgrounds games of the time, and noticed that they tended to have characters reuse the same dying animation, or ragdoll, upon death. This inspired him to create a game with more realistic injuries, where a good chunk of the fun is seeing the consequences of your actions. So he used a physics engine and started playing around with different scenarios. He ended up putting a scene together of the old man from Divine Intervention in a wheelchair, endlessly falling down a hill. That idea would be turned into the first level of the game, Happy Green Hills, and that idea would be turned into Happy Wheels. It originally wasn't supposed to be a big, user-generated game, just something he mainly worked on in the background. But as he kept chipping away at the project, that vision would evolve. On June 4th, 2010, the earliest version of Happy Wheels was launched on Jim's website, with the first ever Happy Wheels video being released later that month on YouTube by Toady1104. Much like Newgrounds would help Jim's career in the 2000s, YouTube would be the thing to help it in the 2010s, as Happy Wheels videos would be really well received on the site, helping to push the game to an entire generation of people, but mainly children. Even in its earliest infancy, Happy Wheels was a good game for YouTube. 3 months later, on September 6th, 2010, the demo was put up on Newgrounds and other Flash game websites to attract attention towards the full version on Total Jerkface. By the end of the year, the game was closing in on 4 million plays on Newgrounds alone. and Let's Play YouTube would be changed for years to come. In my video about Minecraft's rise, I attributed a large amount of the growth to YouTubers making content on the game, leading to a feedback loop of viewers being inspired by videos to play on Minecraft worlds of their own. Happy Wheels had a very similar rise. Originally, the game only came with a short list of already made levels, but with the sea of user-generated content, the game became a go-to for many YouTube Let's Players, often playing levels made by fans, with PewDiePie, Tobuscus, who's actually the voice of Irresponsible Dad, Markiplier, CoryX Kenshin, and most famously, JackSepticEye, playing the game for content, with it becoming one of his longest-running series, with over 100 parts spanning over 3 full years. It was the perfect symbiotic relationship. YouTubers could make videos on the game, and fans would flock to the game to make more levels for the creators to play. And boy oh boy, they sure made levels. As of 2023, there are over 10 million different levels to play, with the best of the best being put on the featured section when you start the game, and the vast majority of them not being very good. As the game continued to gain traction, Jim Bonacci continued to refine and expand on the game's mechanics, adding more characters with new vehicles, but most importantly for the game's longevity, new tools for the level editor. With more features, fans were able to put together more advanced and in-depth levels. Remaking other games became a popular trend, and while they were always around, these more in-depth creation options made for more in-depth levels. But there were also a number of other popular level types. Sword throws, bottle runs, pogo stick challenges, spike falls, pogo fights, quizzes, arrow runs, and ball throws, just to name a few. And with so much attention surrounding the game, it would seem that the game would be in public attention so long as it would receive continual updates. Updates it didn't really get. With the game's success, Jim began to work on a follow-up. This was in 2012. We still have yet to get a peek on anything modern about the game, but we know he's still working on it according to what he said in Discord as of 2017. There's a little bit of footage from around this time though, and you can notice that the lighting is pretty good. On August 20th, 2015, the game would see a release on the Apple App Store, further increasing its accessibility carried with the game. This seems to be the last moment of Happy Wheels in its peak. In 2016, it's safe to say that a lot less attention was put on the game. In November of that year, JackSepticEye streamed the finale to his Happy Wheels series.
So yeah, this will be the very last episode of Happy Wheels. Thank you guys for that. Wanna go? I hope you guys enjoyed the stream.
And while it's nice to see him move on to grander things, this also ended off a big pillar of external support going towards the game. Not to mention that by 2016, the landscape of YouTube had changed. Let's Plays were getting less and less popular as higher effort game reviews and even commentary videos started to gain traction. And games like Minecraft, Roblox, and Garry's Mod just had a lot more to do in terms of content. In 2017, Adobe announced they'd be shutting down Flash Player at the end of 2020. This posed a risk to the millions of Flash games, animations, and these that were made over the years, but also the Flash version of Happy Wheels. Fans were concerned that the shutdown of Flash would leave the back catalog of levels completely unplayable, and while the mobile version was safe, as it uses C++, it just wouldn't be the same as playing the game on a computer. On December 28th of 2020, 2 days before Flash shut down, a Happy Wheels JavaScript port was successfully released, and everything was successfully preserved, except for one level. Happy Green Hills, the very first level developed for the game, was unable to be ported, as it was made entirely with vectors, making it difficult to move over seamlessly to the Java port. This important piece of the game's history is now completely inaccessible. The game hasn't seen any updates since then. No new characters, no new vehicles, no new level creating tools. As Jim Bonacci continues to work on his follow-up to Happy Wheels. As development continues on the sequel, there's a bit of drama surrounding a certain monetary decision. It's impossible to argue that a big draw for Happy Wheels is the accessibility of its tools, and the ability to create and release a level and having people from around the world play it, or just playing whatever levels other players come up with. While playing the game will still be free, Jim plans on making level designers pay $5 to $10 to create and publish levels, potentially kneecapping the game's growth before it even releases. which we still don't even have a concrete date on. While the game's still around, and people even play it to this day, Happy Wheels is from a different era of YouTube. An era when normal creators could play a game for 10 minutes at a time and become the most popular on the site. And in many ways, Happy Wheels is still in that era. The menus, the music, the game model, all of it looks virtually identical to how it did back in 2010. And with that in mind...
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, and today we're gonna be playing Happy Wheels, the game. Oh my, I think that's looks like a bike. No!
Oh, also in 2016 it had a series. I couldn't find a better place to put this in. It was just kind of there.